Do you have a voice you especially like to hear? Maybe one that in its familiarity makes you feel at home or comforted. One that when you hear it, your heart rises up or seems to skip a beat. Voices are important. They impact us on a cellular level. Some can trigger healing energy or comfort, while others can make us anxious or frightened. If you're an animal person, you know how important and powerful your voice can be in relationship to them. I read a story about a man who was serving in the military in the Middle East. He was resting one day by an oasis. It was a hot day, when a number of different groups of shepherds came over a hill with their sheep. Each shepherd had 20 to 30 sheep in their flocks. And as the sheep took their refreshment, the shepherds visited with one another. And the man noted that none of the sheep were marked with any kind of identification to separate them from one another. After a time, the shepherds took their leave and called to their sheep, and they separated from the others and followed without hesitation. Maybe there is truly something to this idea of the sheep knowing the voice of their shepherd. I imagine the disciples had come to know and love the sound of Jesus's voice. And we know it was not always a comforting voice either, but it was his. It was the voice of their teacher, their friend, healer, liberator. In the Gospel of John, when Jesus uses this story of the shepherd, it was very faithful to Jewish tradition because God was called shepherd of the people Israel, the one who protected and guided the people in order to keep them from harm. For the community John was addressing, Jesus embodied this very image of God. Jesus gave God a human voice, one they could hear and trust. Again, let's not simply think of the shepherd as only kind and gentle. The shepherd also corrects as he protects. In today's reading, you may recall hearing how the shepherd protects the sheep from bandits and thieves. Everything is not safe always, warm always. We have a tendency, I think, to turn this image of Jesus into a soft nursery rhyme where Jesus, as a shepherd, cuddles the lost lamb in each of us. But the truth is, a shepherd is really more of a cowboy. Think about it. Sheep average 400, 500 pounds. They are not pets, and they do not sit in your lap. And Jesus teaches that the good shepherd is rough, rugged, able to see ahead, and will prod and poke us to go where we can have life abundantly. The life of the shepherd is demanding, and so is the life of the sheep. But the goal of this interdependency is not suffering or hardship, but abundance. The point of following the voice of Jesus, of coming to know and trust the voice and teachings of Jesus, is not to shame or guilt or punish us for sin. It is recognizing and sharing in the fullness of life God intends for all creation. This month of May, our Sunday lectionary continues to bring us readings from the Gospel of John. It's a gospel that has the boldness to insist that precisely at the heart of darkness, in the midst of horrific and mindless brutality, Jesus reveals the mystery, which is at the heart of the universe, which calls forth all things and holds them together. The communion of love between the Father and the Son, opening up for human beings. Toward the end of his time on earth, during the final meal shared with the disciples the evening before the crucifixion, Jesus offers a prayer to the one he calls Abba, Father. And in that prayer on that night, he says, I am asking on behalf of those whom you gave me, because they are yours. All mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I have been glorified in them. And now I am no longer in the world, but they are in the world, and I am coming to you. Jesus knows he will be leaving his disciples to fulfill his mission and wants them to be prepared. He's been teaching them about his nature, about his mission, his destiny, and about their role and their future in all of this. And then he prays for them. And if you look at the prayer as a whole, which is a full chapter in John's Gospel, 26 verses long, I find it interesting what Jesus doesn't pray for. He doesn't pray that it will get easier, because he knows it won't. He doesn't pray that the disciples will escape the challenges and struggles or even the persecutions that await them, because he knows they must face them. And he doesn't pray that they will defeat all their enemies and create a Christian government or society. He doesn't pray for any of that. What does he pray for? Jesus prays for their endurance. He prays that they will endure together. He asks that God would strengthen them, care for them, protect them. Jesus, the one who came to bring abundant life, doesn't run away in the face of danger. He lays down his life for the sheep, offers an alternative spirit and reality. And here's what we sometimes miss. Jesus is not only praying for the disciples in the room with him that night. Jesus says, I ask not only on the behalf of these, but also on behalf of those who will believe in me through their word, that they may all be one. Who are all who believe in me through their word, through the disciples' word? We are. You and me. I love that. I love that Jesus, on the night before his death, prays for us. He prays that we may find strength in God, that we may feel God's presence as we bear witness to a world that seems to contradict at every turn Jesus' gospel of love and grace and abundant life. And finally, Jesus prays that we do this together, remembering that we are one in the fellowship and love of God. My heart has felt vulnerable this week, knowing that this is my last Sunday with you. I will miss your voices. Voices that greeted me with warmth and welcome. Voices that sang to me and uplifted my soul. Voices that pointed me in the right direction when I needed some prodding and poking myself. I will miss all your voices. But I also find comfort knowing that though we will be far from one another, you and I are all listening for the same voice. We are wedded in that way. No matter where we are or what our circumstances have been or will be, we are forever connected by the voice we long to hear, the voice that guides and strengthens us and helps us to endure life's hardships and share life's abundant joys together. And so I thank you for the many years that I've lived here with you at the Cathedral. I thank you for those I've known every single one of those years, for those of you I've known for a few of those years, and for those that I've just met. I want you to know that you are in my heart and in my prayers, and that I love you. Amen.